so I have two sisters, and one was very young at the time, and the other one's like 14 months older. He told a household of girls, "You'll never want for pantyhose again." And I just thought,
there's a dream. You've always wanted to hear that. My dreams come true. Did you know, Daddy, I dreamt about never needing pantyhose again. Oh, he sounds amazing. Go on.
he's actually not amazing. I don't talk to him. He's a very demented, sick individual.
Firm of figures knows your money, cuts down on strife. Time to trust your future. Firm of figures, love your life.
So, quote, "I am one of the lucky ones," says today's leader and guest expert. "I've discovered optimism after believing I was destined for failure and exclusion. When I got sick, I was forced into entrepreneurship, and despite the little issue of illness, it was the best thing that happened to me. It allowed me to take a no excuses approach and to settle for nothing less than the results I wanted. I astounded myself with my drive and beat my father's legacy of having failed in numerous times at entrepreneurship." This lady runs SickBiz, an organization dedicated to providing support, resources, hacks, and hope to entrepreneurs affected by chronic illness, pain, disability, and sickness. Do you know what? I spent a long time trying to find a good way to explain what I do, and this is one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. Not only that, she's also the founder of J Hill Marketing and Creative Services, an agency specializing in premier copywriting, editing, and book editing for Fortune 500 brands and the 1% superstar entrepreneurs. Today, she's going to help us shine a light on how she helps people rediscover their inner beliefs that will unlock their every potential. Please welcome Hilary Jastram. Hi, Hilary.
Hi, Georgette. Thank you. Wow. I hope I can live up to that. My goodness.
Oh, well, it's you. That's you. so, I mean, I was really quite looking forward to this because it's very different to, everybody talks about inner belief and mindset. I say everybody, people, and so on. But you have an added dimension where you're dealing with actual disability.
Yes.
As well. So tell us a little bit about, well, let me start and make it simple to begin with. You talk about your own father and his legacy that you didn't want to repeat. So tell us a little bit about that and how it manifested and how it affected you.
All right. So you're going to have to pop some popcorn because this is entertaining. Let me
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. I can't wait.
Back in the day, and I must have been about 11 or 12, when the actual computers first came out to consumers, they looked like a sewing machine, the kind of carry case that you could carry around. You'd pop off the top of the case, and then there would be a TV monitor inside, very long whole encapsulation, and he would sit there on this kind of DOS screen and attempt to invest in, this particular model of computer. So that went bust. And then after that, he became a rare coin collector. He tried to flip houses before houses were being flipped. And then he actually had to stop because it was illegal.
No, okay.
Time. Yes. And he was like, well, I can't do this. I'm going to go to jail. He was an artist. He did just a multitude of different things. At one point, he was going to sell pantyhose, and he told so I have two sisters, and one was very young at the time, and the other one's like 14 months older. He told a household of girls, "You'll never want for pantyhose again." And I just thought,
there's a dream. You've always wanted to hear that. My dreams come true. Did you know, Daddy, I dreamt about never needing pantyhose again? Oh, he sounds amazing. Go on.
He's actually not amazing. I don't talk to him. He's a very demented, sick individual. But
That's what I love about you. Tell it like it is.
it's just, I want to say, even with all of our sins and everything that we do and all of that, it's important to remember the good times, because before he lost his mind and became a lunatic, he actually was, we have some good moments. And then after that, he was just horrendously awful. But it's, so there was really like no middle ground. But I observed. I paid attention to what he was doing. And it was interesting because I didn't even know it. I didn't know it until I started working for myself. So fast forward, disastrous childhood. It's amazing I don't have 5 kids and live behind a McDonald's. And, by the grace of God and the seat of my pants, I knew how to work. So if somebody said, you need X amount of money or whatever, you need to figure this out, or this creditor is hot on your tail, I knew how to work. And that's what I did. And sometimes it's the only thing that you know how to do. But as I started working, I exposed myself to so much of it in so many industries, I started wanting more. And you know who you are, okay, as an entrepreneur. You know that you have this hunger inside you to do more, to want more, to contribute more. I was the reluctant leader on every team. I'd be like, you know what, this time, Big Mouth, you're going to hang back and you're just going to listen to other people. And then I'd be like, but what if we did this? So you have that hunger. It's this insatiable desire to do more. I was afraid, though. I was very afraid, and so I was very status quo, 9 to 5, raising my kids. I had a couple marriages, whatever,
Just 2.
Just two. I'm married for the 3rd time now. I've been with him. It'll be 9 years in July. After my 2nd divorce, I put myself in timeout and said, "Girl, you need to stop what you're doing. This is not a hobby."
See, right now, that's me. Right, me, The Crown, and Netflix.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I never knew such a world existed. Where have I been? Never mind swipe left or right. The Crown and Netflix, girl. And you were saying.
Yes, absolutely. But you have to take that time. You have to take that time when you're kind of going from one to the next, and you're not really believing in yourself. You're attaching your belief to somebody else, but inside is simmering this belief in yourself that you just keep quelling and cramming down, and you don't ever address it. And so one day, you know what, Georgette, it's like when you pack for a trip. You have to sit on that suitcase and get everything jammed inside that suitcase. And that's how it is if you don't express yourself. So I did the status quo, and, I raised my kids, and my kids are all older now, and I'm married again. I went back to college, and I thought that I had gotten a job that was just phenomenal. And I speak of it with such love. The people were very compassionate. I was a web content admin for a very large regional furniture company. They had 3 brands within one brand, and so there was a high-end interior design, and then more of the mainstream computer furniture offering. And then they had a very eclectic. It's called Doc 86. They had a very eclectic mix of vibrant accessories and things of that nature. I loved it. I'd be out on the floor. I'd be shooting pictures. I would, they would let you do whatever you wanted because they kind of ran the skeleton crew. So if you raised your hand and said, "I want to write that. I want to do that. I want to do this." Lots of experience. And then I got sick. I learned I wasn't invincible. We spend our lives running, and sometimes we maybe even try to distance ourselves from people who experience tragedy because we think it's catching.
Yeah.
Or, it makes us confront our own vulnerabilities. Well, there was no running from this. At one point, they didn't know if it was a spinal tumor. And, they speak in cloaked terms, neoplasm, and I run to Google and I figure out, I have 6 hours to live. But in this case, it really could have been that. So instead,
how did it show itself? What started to happen to you?
It was very cruel in its display. So it began with 2 years prior to that, and it was on a very hot, sweltering day for Minnesota. I know people don't think that's a true story, but Minnesota does that. Temperatures sometimes that are very humid. And I started to lose my balance. I would get very dizzy, and then I would lose feeling in my extremities, in my hands and feet. And that went away. They said, we didn't find anything. They threw me in the MRI machine, didn't find anything. 2 years later, it came back. And this time it was not precipitated by any change in temperature. It was, I was sitting on the porch and I thought, well, that is really weird. And I had noticed my legs were falling asleep more often. So this is a creeping, encroaching disease that's coming. I didn't know it. I got out of the shower. I thought that I hadn't dried off enough because I would feel wet patches on my skin. And I thought, oh, I must have pulled a nerve, because I had done that before and my arm had felt that way. So it came to a head when I almost couldn't stand one morning, and we went into the doctor, my husband and I had to call him into the bathroom and say, I don't think I can stand up. And they thought maybe I had a blood clot or whatever. 5 months, and the symptoms get worse and worse. They get to the point where I walk outside. It's again sweltering in the summer. I have to have people drive me home because I'm crumpling down onto somebody's fender because I can't walk anymore. You know, I can't walk down the hallway. I had vertigo for 7 months. I had crippling headaches. They wheeled a recliner into my cubicle because I had to have my feet put up. And so they were just the sweetest. They tried to get me to work from home and all these things.
That's a hell of an employer.
It was a wonderful employer. And then at the end, you know, we had to have an honest talk of, it's not always discrimination. I just want to put that out there. Sometimes it's you simply can't fulfill the job. The job requirements as written by this company were butt in seat, you know, and we'll work with you a little bit on the flexibility. But the fatigue was crippling. I slept for 16 hours a day. Wow. So I have a disease like MS. It's called transverse myelitis. Roughly 1,400 people are diagnosed in the U.S. with it each year. Mm-hmm. Mine is idiopathic, meaning there's no reason. They don't know what the reason is. They think maybe a sweeping bout of the flu the prior year just wiped everything out in my body. Went, what? We have nothing. Let's rebuild it all and screw it up. So, so it's been, it'll be 4 years around April 1st, worst April Fool's Day ever, by the way.
You crack me up. It's not quite boo, is it?
No, I was like, this is not saran wrap on a toilet seat.
No,
this is not funny. What are we doing? So, but it was everything that I needed. Because when we tune into the universe, and I'm not religious, but I'm highly spiritual, and I'm all about listening to messages that are being sent our way. So it was everything I needed because I wanted vulnerability. I wanted healing from multiple abandonment. And abandonment from the sense of how unfortunate that my family did not have the tools to survive in a dysfunctional environment and had to choose to survive separately. So I don't have any ill will towards it, nor will I discard my history and say, it was a Sunnybrook farm. I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to blame my decisions on my background either. But it was what I needed. I had to get vulnerable to have a lasting relationship because there was always, what am I bringing to the table? You know? And finally, I couldn't bring anything to the table. It was me. It was me, sick, crumpled in bed. It was me. I shoved my husband away. I don't know how many times. Go, be free. I'm sentencing you to an early octogenarian existence. You want to snuggle up and have some oatmeal with me. Woohoo. You know, and so, but he stayed. He stayed. And I learned because, so that first year, was heavily on unemployment, but I also landed my first national client at that time. It was a large hotel chain.
So go back a bit. You've been diagnosed. You're obviously third time lucky. Husband,
yes,
stayed with, you know, because that is not an easy. Like you said, with employment, it's not always discrimination, and sometimes also in a personal life, it's not always. Some people are just not equipped to cope with adversity. So you lose out on one, you that at least is sorted out. How mentally, where were you mentally to go from a diagnosis like that to getting a client of that stature?
Survival. I had read, somebody put something out in our copywriting group, and I had read it. It said, reach out to 250 people. You have 250 people in your network right now. You do. LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is. This is not the time when you are facing an illness, a life-changing, altering illness or disability. It's not the time to second guess yourself. It's not the time to really wallow in I don't want to say wallow, but to focus too heavily on those emotions, because they will hold you back. It was the action. This is where I learned to focus on action. This is also how I helped to, for the most part, heal a massive and crippling panic and anxiety disorder I'd had for decades. I had a ravenous eating disorder for decades. And so it's not the time, you have to give yourself a task, take yourself out of the emotions. And Georgette, it's like I tell my kids, go do the dishes. Why don't want to do the dishes? Well, I don't really care how you feel about doing the dishes. They still have to be done. So go do the dishes, but focus on the action. You can do anything while you are anxious, while you are fearful, while you are angry. You don't have to stop because emotions are coming in. Now, I'm not saying don't address them, but I am saying when an emotion comes in, because you need to recognize that's going to pull you down. When the state of your existence ad infinitum is changing, you absolutely can get pulled into that undertow. I've used a wheelchair. I don't know how many times now. I have my own wheelchair that we go in. I have to go in sometimes, but we play wheelchair basketball in the summer with the kids. And you know what? I slam that thing. And I
was going to say, you have a slight advantage, my love. I'm just going to say.
A little bit. I'm like, kind of driving around. But we have to put things into perspective, and for me, it helps to compartmentalize and create tasks for myself and say, well, that's great. You're going to have an emotion. How about if you have that emotion for 2 days? How about if you put a time limit on your emotion and say, you know what? I'm going to feel really sucky and I'm going to feel terrible. And, my husband is so buoyant. He just rises to the surface. He's like a bobber. He just keeps coming back up.
Oh, how lovely.
It's lovely, and it's also really irritating sometimes, because sometimes you want to feel like crap, And I'm like, would you let me feel this emotion?
Stop being so happy. What the hell is wrong with you?
I know. Exactly. It's always like, there will be a cure, there will be something, there will be, and and you have to say, what if there's not?
Yeah.
You have to be okay if there's not. You have
What's
to
the
be,
worst?
Yes.
What's the is it Dr. Pepper ad we have over here? What's the worst that can happen?
Yes, that's exactly.
And go there.
And go there.
And if you can cope with that, then everything else is easy, or easier, shall we say. Wow. Okay. So what is life like now? You say you're in the wheelchair occasionally. You take it, you work from home. What does your life and your work life look like daily, physically?
Daily is consistency every day. And I want to tell people who may have the misnomer of believing, we should be so easy on disabled people and cut them a break and all of these wonderful, warm and loving thoughts, right? Let me tell you what, work is a salvation, okay?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's a beautiful distraction. Would I rather put my overactive mind to work on a campaign, helping somebody, ideating, creating, constructing, innovating, doing these wonderful things, and have that be a focus
rather than
sit in bed, feel every single pain that I have, or in a way, it is proving myself to me every single day over and over again. And then it becomes bigger. Well, if I can do it, why can't anybody else? Of course they can, because we don't say make the choice so that you have the choice to take away your power or invalidate your feelings. No. It is to absolutely empower you and say, despite this, I am so much stronger.
Mm.
And I can amaze myself. It is to rise through that. So there are people in these support groups that I'm in. Oh man, are they down? Every day is hard. I hate this. I hate this new body. I hate this, and I understand completely. Okay, we all have those moments, but you're still choosing to live there. You're still choosing, and you can make a difference in your thought process. 1,000,000%. Your thoughts are rutted grooves in your brain based on your reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we start to fill those in is when we start to change how we react to something. So I was furious as a teenager, and even in my early 30s. I was furious. Nobody had been there for me. They had demonstrated repeatedly that I wasn't worth anything. I could leave again and again and again and again. And it really does something to you. And then my dad, was just a big screwed up pervert. And I mean, it was like everything that I wanted. There were money troubles. There were relationship troubles. I had doubts about my parenting on every single level, eating disorders, panic disorders. I was furious at what should have been mine in my estimation. And I would rage out at people because I didn't care. I didn't care. And that was my response. And let me tell you what, the difference in how I parented my first child to how I parented my last child is night and day.
Yeah.
My first child will say, I don't know you. You're not this hopped up crazy woman who has to clean the kitchen at midnight. No, I don't care. Dishes sit in the sink because I love you, and that's what matters. Because I want to hear you. It's a privilege to be your mother, So my point is that you can change, even if you're the most negative person ever. And I'm not going to poo-poo a little medicinal help either. If you need something to help with your anxiety, to get you to objectify your symptoms and your disorders, then do that, because that's a tool to help you better yourself and put things into perspective. I also went through decades of counseling. I lost track of the number of the counselors. I really, they all have one big gray face with blondish, brownish, salt and pepper hair. I
don't see. So, not for you.
Well, no, it is. I mean, but it has to, when you enter into the agreement to self-improve, you better be willing to take responsibility for what you have said and done. But don't you dare take responsibility for what you haven't said and done. Don't you dare let yourself be gaslit either. Find, and this journey has led me to know. Yeah, right. I'm finally okay.
Post the girl for being gaslit, despite all my knowledge and intelligence. So I hear you.
And you shut it down. You just shut it down. I'm not going to take that treatment from you. Yeah. I don't really care what your response is. My response is, I'm not allowing that into my space, and my husband and I had met drunk in high school, and both hardly remember the meeting. He drifted by, and I thought, that's a fine man, and then we went on with our lives and reconnected. But when we were very tumultuous. We're Scorpios, both of us.
Oh,
like, we never leave the bedroom, or we burn the place down. One of the two. Those are the choices.
Oh my God. Oh gosh, I had to be your neighbor.
I know. But we didn't know how to fight. So we would gaslight each other, and then I would say, well, just leave, just go. And I'd push him out the door before he could leave me. We had to learn that. And, we just grabbed anything that was available as a talking stick. So I'd have the Windex bottle, and I'd say, I have the Windex bottle. You can't talk right now. And we did this, Georgette, over and over again.
I don't need the crown. This is better.
Yeah, I'm telling you. There's so much drama. But in the wake of drama and in looking at drama, you have to ask yourself, what is at stake if I give up drama? What am I losing?
Or what do you gain? And I remember my sister said to me in this context, if you did this, would not you not be losing all this investment for how many years? And I have a line I say to my clients, because obviously dealing with money, there's that resistance and so on. And I say,
Sure.
and I always ask them, if you had the opportunity to stay exactly as you are for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, would that be fine? No. And I ask myself the same question. No, it wouldn't be fine. And right there, you draw a line in the sand, which forces you to then say, well, if you don't take that action, you will be there in a year, 5 years, 10 years time.
Yes.
And it scared me because, we are very sort of hypocritical to some degree. I am my own customer, always a work in progress. And you speak to people with this. So I'd answer that question with almost superiority because I know what the answer would be before they'd say it, and you think, yeah, okay, well, all right. So next Tuesday, what we're going to do? And then I ask myself the question, it's a humbling thing. And you suddenly think, because she's saying to me, hang on. And it had the complete opposite effect. I was like, whoa, I got to get out of here. And it's amazing but as you said, that suitcase, been sitting on it, you sit on it and you sit on it and you know what's inside. You just won't peek.
No.
And then one day it just flies open and you're forced to confront it. Well, I didn't. It didn't fly open. I actually lifted it up and went, ugh, no.
You get tired of yourself after a while. You get, is this the same old goal that I have to overcome this thing? What's the next thing? And how can I possibly even move into the headspace of being some sort of a motivational, not even motivational, but to provide momentum to other people so that they can go out and achieve their dreams. And isn't there a greater purpose for what's happening? Instead of saying, and we're so presumptuous as people. Well, that shouldn't happen to me. Well, why did that happen to me? Well, why the hell would it not happen to you?
Who are you?
Right. And why don't we then say, well, this is my journey. Okay, I'm going to be open to learning from it because maybe it's what I've needed. Maybe it's not delivered in the way that I wanted to control it. But maybe I need to be open to this new part of the journey because I've been asking for this universe. I've been praying for it. I've been in so much pain and misery and stuck. And now it's here. And I don't like the way you delivered it because you made me sick.
Yeah.
Instead, what is it teaching you? And it's amazing because, okay, so maybe I don't have the greatest health ever, but I find ways to manage it. And it's okay. I do a lot of sleeping.
Yeah, I kind of envy that, but not for the same reason.
Yeah.
So So when you're working with people who have obviously various degrees on the spectrum of health, how do you find it? Because you said some people stay in that self-pity.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, it's got to be easy to stay in self-pity if you are wheelchair bound or you have MS, or other disabilities, mental health disabilities, whatever there are. How do you, I mean, it's tough enough for able-bodied people to not wallow for whatever reason. So how do you jump that extra hurdle with somebody who you're working with? You've got to get past that first, let alone get them into a thriving business.
Yeah, it's tough love.
What are some of the, in fact, let me move forward. What are some, or even one technique or thought or mindset hack, for want of a better word, that you can share that helps some of the people or has been quite successful for you to move them maybe a little bit more along the hope spectrum rather than in the self-pity side of it?
Focus on small goals. We can always build on those small goals. So if I have somebody who's saying, well, I can't get any clients in for this particular new offering, okay, what offering works for you? When I started editing books, I didn't set out to edit books. Ryan said to me, Ryan Stuman, because I'm his editor, said to me, hey, I've got these books. And I looked at them all. I said, I want to redo every single one.
Okay.
And he said, okay. And then after that, it turned into Hilary did my books. And since then, I think I've done like 35 more. So it's I was open to the opportunity coming, and I knew without trying too hard what would come to me. Okay.
Okay.
And that's where I tell people to go in their heads. What comes to you? What's easy for you? What lands in your inbox? Who is notifying you because they're picking up on something and an offering that you can give them, a benefit that you can give them? That is what you capitalize on. So instead of being like, oh, no, I don't do that. I wouldn't. Why? Why would you not explore what is coming right to you?
Yes.
Maybe is not what you envision. And I think there's a lot of people compare themselves, especially entrepreneurs. So-and-so's doing this on their IG page. Oh, did you see that? She's in the Bahamas again. You know, like, and here I am sitting in the laundry room and typing out a blog, you know, like it's
what am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong? And stop comparing yourself. We cannot compare ourselves. We have different histories. We have different adaptations. You know, we have different abilities. We have different skill sets. We're in alignment with different messages. We have different lessons that we've absorbed. So we absolutely can't. So everything that you're doing right now to structure your business, I encourage you to be open. What's coming to you? What's coming to you is going to be easier to close. It's going to be easier to monetize. You're going to be super excited about it. You could probably turn it into passive income to some degree because you'll continually, but you have to open your eyes up to that opportunity. And when you have those smaller wins, something happens to your self-confidence. Yeah. I did it. I still got it. I did it. I don't care if it's a $300 deal. I don't care if it's a $99 deal. I don't care what it is. But you did it, and you proved to yourself you can do it. So do it again. And then go a little bit further out. Small wins are the key to big wins.
Mm. So how do people work with you in Sick Biz? Do you do sort of training, online training? Do you do work one-to-one, group? How does it work for a client coming to you?
Clients come to me for a multitude of reasons. So one gentleman wanted help writing a business plan, for example. Somebody might want help with a podcast. One thing that we're doing, which I have talked to my web designer about last night, I was like, when is it coming? Where is it? Is the resources page. The resources page is going to offer some coaching packages. We have financial consultations, so a free 15-minute financial consultation for your business with Lisa Chastain, who is the millennial money master. And she is amazing. We're working with Elon and Guy Ferdman on their coaching package. Armando Cruz is another life coach who is he'll call me. He's almost this intuitive psychic life coach. It's the craziest thing. You're quiet lately. How are you feeling? And then I just pour everything out, and he's like, well, this, and this. And he gets you to look at your life in a very different way. So that resources page is coming. And then we also have an app. We have a brand new app. So it's if you text Sick Biz, SICKBIZ, 2 words, to 36260, you get it on your phone. So we have a podcast, and each week we have either a life or business coach. We have just now signed Coach B, who is doing health shifts at the end of every segment of Sick Biz, which speaks to the importance of chronically ill and disabled entrepreneurs to make sure that they're taking care of their health. That is the population that most definitely needs to tune into that. So there's a multitude of offerings. We've also partnered with one of the biggest mental health resources in Canada, Worth Living, and they actually have a therapist on call to help people. So we do talk about mental challenges as well in this kind of spectrum. And I'm telling you, Georgette, I've often said, I'm so glad I don't suffer from depression, because the people that do get into this grotto of despair, and they stay there, a lot of times have depression. And so I know it's hard to climb out of that. But that resources page is coming literally any second. We have a webpage that has over 20 plus guest bloggers. And we've recently put some content out on the Good Men Project as well. So we're
I used to write for them. I love writing for them. I just can't. I just don't have time at the moment. But no, they my editor got a massive business opportunity. I said, I haven't got time to do that anymore. So I had to change, because that's just like bumming an email and so on. So I'll pick it up again one day, because I love writing is my thing.
Oh, it's
if you ask me what I am, I say a writer, despite everything else I do, which is really weird because I'm in business, finance is really weird. But it's writing, and the Good Men Project, I'd say, was what got me. And it's about men, but
the demographic is about a 50-50 split, though.
Yes, it was about 60-40 when but yes, it has increased. It's a great publication. I love it. Really good for you. It's not the only one. Who else do you write for? You don't just write for you do Huffington Post as well, or you just used to?
Yep, Huffington Post until they slammed the doors on all their contributors.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? Crazy.
I never wrote for them, but I used to get into the back door because they would go and take the other ones which I'd written. So I used to say to people, I'm on Huffington Post. I never wrote for them, just that my stuff would appear there because they're going to get it from somewhere else and ask for permission. It's like, okay, they as you say, what comes in the door, take it. Take it. So you're spot on with that one. It's true. The universe telling you something is so true. That's great. Okay. And with the writing, so you do that. So how do you split it? You've got your sick biz, which you do that.
Yes.
And then you've got the writing. So how do you manage to gel those into your life? And then obviously you have a family.
Yes.
So how does that sort of split up? This is my productivity help head on now. How does that all split and not drive you into mad overwhelm?
I'm going to go old school. I knew I make a to-do list every single day. And I so in this age of being distracted, and this is something that I learned from my child's ADHD counselor, okay, we have to give ourselves little rewards. So we have to use tough love on ourselves and say, here's this task I have to complete. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to go do that thing that I want to do, right? And so if you give yourself little rewards and you know, that thing is not like 4 hours of shopping and you're, it's like 15 minutes of eating an ice cream cone in a hammock. That's what that thing is, just to kind of clarify. Or it's like, one
Hilary said it was okay.
Right.
To stay in Selfridges all day.
She said, buy the Coach purse. I heard her.
Oh, see? You tuned into me. I love my Coach. You see, we're tuned in.
I know we are tuned in. But there's no accidents.
Honestly, I'm beginning. You know what as well? I am. You see, you said you were spiritual. I'm going to steal that. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, because I wouldn't even have said I was spiritual. I am so pragmatic. I come from a world of practical males in suits, and I obviously stand out. And then about a year, maybe less ago, I've always heard of the law of attraction and The Secret and so on. I was like, oh, if Oprah didn't endorse it, you wouldn't listen to this stuff. Come on, people. It's what you do. Get a lot. Anyway, I found an Abraham Hicks video. I don't know, it came into my, I was looking for something else and I listened to this thing. And I was hooked. I got past the, I'm not Abraham. I'm really, or I'm, we're a multitude of people, and I've ignored all of that and listened to the message, and I finally tapped into that part of me.
That is so
the manifestation and and I am obsessed with Abraham Hicks. Just listening to the get up in the morning. I could never meditate. I meditate. Quiet the mind. Quiet the mind.
I can't meditate. You can meditate?
The Headspace app is how I started.
Really?
But yeah, I'm crap. I say I can meditate. I'm still thinking, did I do that for the client? Do that during the meditation? But the Headspace app I would recommend if you're starting out, because what they basically say is stop trying to get rid of the thoughts. You can never empty your mind, but you quiet the mind. So the thoughts are there. So it's like traffic flying past. You see the cars going by, but you're not worried about getting knocked down. You're just watching them go by.
You are not playing Frogger. This is different.
But me, I am. I'm like, whoop, whoop.
I know.
But now you're just there and they're going by. You're aware of them, but you're not focused on them. And at my old age to finally, but I have moved so far just from doing that. So basically, I highly recommend, don't be too, what's the word I'm looking for, pragmatic and set in your ways and stuck in your ways.
I agree.
So that's the way to do it. Yeah. So I hear you.
That's the way to live with abundance.
Yeah.
It's to welcome in those opportunities. We can't welcome in abundance if there are negative thoughts blocking us. We can't welcome them in with excuse me. We can't welcome them in with self-limiting beliefs. If we have a doubt on this, every leg of this journey, I have had to believe that even from when I was just waiting for the unemployment check, that it would be there. I had to have faith it would be there. I had to have faith I could find another client. I had to have faith that, we could connect. Sometimes it's as simple as just not acknowledging that, that you have that. But I truly don't believe that you can welcome in blessings if you don't believe that you deserve them, or that whomever is giving them to you doesn't find you deserving. And and I am actually quite shocked at how many people who outwardly are very successful, very confident, who feel that. And I remember it said to me many years ago when I said something at a conference, and I'm waiting for them to sell me to come on their course or something. And he turned and he said, how long have you had that self-limiting belief? Never met this person before. And I thought, so even though we think we're giving out certain things, people are still seeing right through you. Yes.
And that was quite a shock, because I'm not a shy person, but I'm not an extrovert, I don't think. And it was also because talking about money to people, and money, I'm up, then I'm down. I constantly was a constant battle, just like you. My father wasn't a psychopath or anything, but he didn't. He didn't provide. Well, he died pretty early as well, so that probably didn't help. But but he probably got in the way of it all. But how inconsiderate can you be?
So judgmental.
Oh my gosh, But it's just like he set off a chain of events of constant. My mother playing catch up.
Yes.
And because I vowed I'm never going to be like that, I'm never going to rely on a man, and blah blah blah, you miss how the past experiences catch up to you, and they've been so powerful. And I wonder, even in your case, how much of even your physical is a manifestation of almost like a PTSD style impact on, because stress is not just stress is a physical thing.
Oh, goodness gracious. You're so right. I mean, I had a massive dumping of adrenaline on a daily basis every single day, thinking everybody's going to leave, everybody's going to die, everything I ever do is going to go up in smoke. I was the only person not worthy of anything. Continual abuse, continual on every single level. And the eating disorder, that I was starving my body to the point my muscles were feasting on me.
Wow.
And it was horrendous. And so I just put my body through this massive, and it's interesting because I had stomach aches every single day, just about, after I got sick, because I think that I think the disease finally just broke through. I don't have stomach aches anymore. Hardly ever. Because it lives in my entire body. So it's
I just spread it around now.
Right. I just spread it out. It's so much better diluted. The pain is much more manageable. But truly, I have said the same thing. How much stress and pain and suffering, and I do have PTSD. I've been diagnosed with
really? Okay.
Yep. Because you don't have
that figures.
Yeah, absolutely. PTSD, and somebody said, you don't have it. You didn't go to war. Excuse me. Your body can't differentiate between these critical life or death decisions. And when it's been hammered into you, such desolation and, this dark, being alone and being worthless, and over and over and over and over and over and over, and that's who you are, and that's where you live, in this cave where nobody loves you. That is hell. That is hell to overcome that. So, you just trigger. But I do want to say, and I wrote about this, that our triggers are the path to a life prosperity.
In what way?
Because they're kind of like our superpowers. If we can, I don't want to say overcome our triggers, but it's almost if we can activate those triggers in order to better understand ourselves and to create this sense of security, because security is here. I'm okay with me. I can trust me. That's the biggest thing. When you have been so badly treated, it comes back to you. How did I allow it? How did I allow it? How did I earn this? If you can walk into those triggers and say, I'm going to really explore being abandoned right now.
Okay.
Really explore that.
Yeah.
I'm going to really explore the fact that I couldn't keep 10 cents in my bank account and I had to get rid of it because it made me uncomfortable. I'm going to explore how I push people away, that I don't believe in my business. I'm going to explore those things, and I'm going to look at the dark side of it to discover the truth that I know about myself. I'm not a psychopath. You're not a psychopath. We have some measure of control when it comes to our behavior.
Yeah.
And that absolutely determines our destiny. It does.
And that, I think, being the practical mindset that I have, that's where I find comfort, in the fact that we have a choice. And what you said earlier about some of the people in your groups, that it's just constant complaining and being down. And I'm part of a group, one of them, where I help, where the lady, it was a Facebook group, and she went on did a Facebook Live the other day, and she said, look, this group is for action takers. I want to hear all what's going on, because the issue is a personal thing that a lot of them are going through. So she said, I'm really sympathetic to that, but if you're just going to come in and then PM me, this is what happened now, this is what happened, and this hasn't gone right, and this hasn't, please leave with love. And I had no idea where that came. I was cracking up, thinking, oh my gosh, but she said, leave with love. This is not the group for you. There are plenty of groups where the people in there just go in every day and bitch.
Yes.
This is not the one.
And that's being a psychic vampire. Nobody
yes.
has time for that. But we give permission. We give people permission to be that way in our lives. And we have to say, I'm done. I'm done doing it. And yes, with love.
She said, no judgment, go with love. I could not stop laughing. I thought, this is hilarious. Because I said to her, where that come from? She said, oh no, it's not for action takers like you, George. No, she said, no, not at all. And she said, oh, the messages. And she goes, if I give you advice and something to do, I know sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5 attempts to muster up the energy and the commitment to do something. I understand that. But it's when you get but I tried that. Or that didn't work, or that was not, and I always thought I had I do have a lot of patience. Like I said, I was easily gaslighted. So yes, I have a lot of patience, but now I see through it and I see in others, and you just want to grab hold. And then obviously knowing your story and your website is you can just get lost in there. It's definitely when you're on a journey and you've got some kind of internet connection, it is, and I don't have disability or anything. You don't need to get the value from what you're putting out. It's universal. All it is you've got that extra thing that has to be overcome. But I think, I'm saying, you all need to go and take a look, because it just taps into so much of who we really are and pretend we're not. So I'd absolutely love your stuff and what you do. And just to remind everybody before we go, how can they find you again?
You can find me at sickbiz.com.
Wonderful. Hilary, it's been my great pleasure. You've made me laugh on a Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just had a blast with you. You're welcome.
Good stuff.